I'm your host, Evan Murray, the Assistant Director for Sports Media. And today we have the pleasure of being with head women's volleyball coach, Coach Rose Watson. How's it going, Coach?
Fine, how are you?
Pretty good. Well, Coach, we're going to dive right into it. So, after doing my research, just to see that you are a multi-sport athlete. You've been a coach here at JSU for 20 years, 4 SWAC titles, 4 Coach of the Year award, 6 divisional championships, and 4 NCAA appearances. That is a lot of accolades. So I want to dive straight into it, and I want to get right into it. So being a multi-sport athlete in high school, representing the Virgin Islands, what was your high school sports career like, and how did you end up attending JSU?
First of all, I'm a sports person, period. And I played it all in high school in St. Croix of the Virgin Islands. I played volleyball, basketball, softball, ran track, and even did field events in track. And represented the Virgin Islands in all the all-star games in all the sports or track, like I mentioned. And so I was always around sports pretty much all my life. When I was graduated from high school, in your yearbook note, everyone wished me good luck in my sporting career. So being where I am today was just fate in terms of it was something I guess I was meant to do because it was always my passion.
Okay, and having the different, offers on the table after high school, what made you decide to come down south and choose JSU over other schools?
My story is a little different than others. I got caught up back in those days with Title IX, so offer wasn't an option. Women's sport was not as popular as it is now. We didn't get offers for scholarship. So it was because I played volleyball at home that made me even get involved in the coaching career. So I just didn't have an offer. I came through here by way of just going to school. My basketball coach was from Mississippi, Mendenhall, Mississippi. And she referred me to Jackson State, and it was between Jackson State, Tuskegee, and Southern California, and Southern University of California in terms of acceptance. But I chose Jackson State because I thought that with her family being close by, my first trip from home, it would be a safer journey for me to have someone around that in case of anything that happened.
Okay, and you talked about, you didn't have offers or whatever, but you had a lot of success, as a player, matriculating and continue to elevate. You had a lot of success as a player, and you also had a lot of success as a coach. What kind of high was it for you going from actually winning, in high school as an athlete and actually continue to win at different levels as a player and a coach?
I guess my personality, I know this might not be relevant. I'm a Capricorn. And Capricorns are born teachers. And that's what I hang my hat on, my ability to teach. And not only teach, but demand attention. And that's what's necessary. So even though at the age of 22, when I got my first opportunity here at Jackson State as a grad assistant, when they decided that they wanted to start a volleyball program or some sport for female, and they chose volleyball, they remembered I was back home teaching. I had just graduated and went back home teaching. And they remembered in the PE classes of this one student that had the skills, or doing the skills correctly. Because at home, that's the only way we knew is how to do it the right way in terms of specifically volleyball. And so they remembered that and called me and asked if I wanted to get my master's degree free and assist Coach Turner at the time, who was they had given him the head volleyball coach, but he was really the assistant basketball coach. Now, understanding that even basketball hadn't started here at Jackson State till my junior year,
wow.
Which is why I didn't go out I did try out, but they weren't looking for walk-ons at the time. And I had one more year, so I said, that was fine. But that lets you know about probably how far back I'm talking about. But at the same time, that was when I got my first opportunity. to coach, and was coaching some of the girls that I actually was in class with.
Right.
But I had the attention from the beginning because I knew how to kind of put that other hat on, and again, I had my degree. I was teaching at home, so teaching was something that came easy for me.
Okay.
And coaching is teaching.
Absolutely, it definitely is. So you got the chance to come back, get your master's degree, actually dive into coaching, and then you get here, and now we sit here, and you've been here 20 years.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I stayed here 2 years. Actually, like I said, my way of getting into this was unorthodox, different from others. I've been here. I stayed here the 2 years. I got my master's degree, and then actually got recruited to coach at Southern University in Baton Rouge for 2 years, under the promise that I would eventually get paid a full-time position. And that didn't happen. Not because I wasn't successful, because I was successful there as well. They just wasn't ready to pay for the female sport, a female coach, a full-time position. And so I had to make a decision, which is to eat.
Right.
And so I had to make that decision. And I moved to California, where I spent 18 years there. And so it wasn't just, I'm not just 40-something or whatever. I've had my journey.
Right.
And I spent 18 years in California after I had to make a decision since they didn't want to pay full-time for the full-time position. And so spent 18 years there, switched over in corporate America, working in legal, and then started my own business there. And then got married, started a family, had a daughter. And but I got back into coaching because when she was 8, she wanted to play, not volleyball, she wanted to play basketball. And so somehow I got involved with basketball and started coaching basketball there for in recreation for the duration of for the time she was there. I was coaching actually both female and male, ages 10 to 18 actually. I'm very successful there as well. So I was always around sport, like I said. But so yes, my journey didn't just stop here and then come back here. I was there 18 years. And then I decided to move back down south. I wanted to be around Jackson State. You know, it was too far for me. I'm a sport person, big time alum. And so I wanted to come back home, so to speak. And after she graduated from 6th grade, fifth grade there, a little private school, we came back here and decided to come back here. And started working here a year. I had a home business, some of the business I had from my business, I traveled with it and started working in law firm here, one of the biggest law firm here in Jackson. And then the offer came up, the opportunity came up where they were looking for a volleyball coach. And Coach Turner, who was the coach that, asked me when I was a grad assistant, called me and told me that I should try and put in my resume for it. And I was hesitant because I hadn't coached volleyball for a while and I didn't have any stats between, 20 years, pretty much.
Right.
And so I hesitated, and then they decided to keep the coach, the existing coach, another year. And so I continued to work in the capacity that I was before, and then they decided to do it, and I said, okay, whatever, I just bring my application. I wasn't going to ask. So I brought it up here, and Coach Culverson, who was the athletic director at the time, I brought it up here in my lunchtime, and he just happened to be in his office. And I handed it to him, and we had our first interview, so to speak, at that particular time. And I just promised him one thing. I might have been out of the business for a while, but you won't find a harder worker to bring this program to where it should be. Got a second interview, and the rest is history.
So you've been on the West Coast, Virgin Island, back down south. You've been to a lot of places. But you said one thing that stuck out to me was you love the South. So talk about how JSU and the community here, what does it mean to you, not only as Coach Washington, but Rose?
Well, my objective here in especially in the Jackson area, Mississippi as a whole, but especially the Jackson area, was to really bring volleyball to the light. because time had passed and volleyball is now become so popular, and I knew that it wasn't being played in the high school, middle school period. So the first thing I did my very first year was started keeping camps for high school and even coaches clinics to try to or teach the kids the basics and try to give them the opportunity to see how fun volleyball was and the opportunities that they were now missing in terms of scholarships. When I first came here, I had all 5 scholarships to work with, and so but that grew, and now we're fully funded. And I wanted to, part of my camp was to really have a sit-down session and really express to them that everyone won't make it in basketball, but there were all other avenues of sports that they could venture off into. And of course, I was promoting volleyball. So that has been what I've been trying to do whenever I get the opportunity to speak at banquets or in front of any group that I'm invited to really express not only to the players but to parents to invest. It's like pay now, you don't have to pay much later. But invest in the child's interest if that's what they want to do. And it starts with sending them to camp, my camp or anyone's camp, mind them of basketball, just show the interest. So because there's so much opportunities down the road that could be of value, especially if they want to start early in the sport.
And you talked about how volleyball, has become more popular. And that was going to tie into my next question. It has become more popular over the years, and now there are similar things that are happening in volleyball that are happening in different sports, especially in today's time when you're talking about getting these high caliber athletes trying to commit to HBCUs rather than speaking of rise. What are the pros and cons of recruiting for you, and how is it easy for you to sell JSU?
It wasn't easy, still is easy, but once they get to this campus, once I could get them on a visit, then it becomes their surprise, not only of the campus, but of Mississippi, period, because of the perception that's out there about Mississippi. So that was a challenge, but as long as I could get them to say, agree to visit, it's usually a done deal. And so we've been blessed over the years to get some quality kids to say yes. We're hoping that continues, like you said, with the popularity of volleyball. We're hoping to get good kids. We get good kids, but the difference between what HBCU are doing as opposed to the other school and mid-division one school is size. Sports is still about size. You do have some, can't teach size,
right.
And that's, we're doing the same thing, but size is always that X factor. If we can get more sizable kids to first play volleyball and then agree to give the HBCU an opportunity, because there are great coaches in our sport and HBCU, but it's when we go up against the other teams, the X factor is always on the size. Even with the athleticism, you still size aside, because volleyball especially, it's a very skilled sport. It's very skilled, and the mid-D school and the opportunity that they have to recruit from blacks is growing, but it needs to continue to grow with quality kids, skill-wise and size.
You've been in the game for a little minute and coached for a long time, but this past season is something that you've never experienced before. Having to get the fall council and having to play in the spring for the very first time. And not only did you guys get to compete in the spring, but you won in the spring. What is something during that time that helped you motivate your girls to just keep their spirits lifted during that trying time?
Well, one thing we were blessed with, the few that did get the COVID got it early. So we kind of got it out the way before we actually started. But also the year before, I brought in a very solid group of freshmen. And so even though we missed the spring training, which is that time of development, they were quality kids that came from very good club teams, and so that helped us. And then we had a senior group as well. So that combination is what really helped us both get through the spring in the manner in which we did.
Okay, and you talked about, you brought in freshmen. I'm a big guy on iron sharpens iron. When they get here and they see what you're capable of, what you want to do, and how you want to do it, and they can actually instill and actually dive into what you want them to do. What is something that is importance of you when it comes to practice? What is something that's very important when it comes to practice for you?
Discipline and the ability to listen, because you don't know kids' learning curve. Even when you recruit them, I mean, you see what you see in the court or in a film for a moment, but you don't see the other stuff. I mean, you try to find that psychological thing on the court that may be a deal breaker or what have you, but you can't see it all. So that ability to listen, because it's all cliche, it's nothing new. You listen, you learn. So ability to listen. My thing that I tell the kids: listen, learn it, and apply it. You have to listen, you have to learn, and you have to be able to retain it, and then apply it. And so that's what my practice is all about.
Coming out the War Eagle Invitational, and you basically back in the groove, get things going. Talk about some of your key returners and new additions for this upcoming season.
Well, key returners against that group, Jalen Wick, Alana Washington, who was defensive freshman of the year, her freshman year. Whitney was the freshman of the year and player of the year, her freshman year. Last year, my freshman of the year. My freshman was freshman of the year. And then we have our center, first team all conference. And then we were fortunate to have Marina Brito, who's a fifth year, working on her master's, that came back to help us with that. And then we had another freshman, Jordan Jones, who was second team all conference. And then that group's coming back because I don't have any seniors. Those are all juniors. I brought in 6 freshmen, and key one's going to be Olivia. Olivia, first name to the purpose time. Olivia, we're going to have Trinity Diaz Libero, and we have an outside hitter, Kennedy. And just to name a few in terms of key people that I expect to dive right in and contribute. So that combination, we're hoping, will be enough to compete in this, what is going to be a tough conference, especially in the eastern side, where we have the addition of Bethune, FAMU, the Bamas who are already tough, and myself, and then you have Valley. Because I'm the type, I don't worry year to year position who's going to come in first, second, because every year people recruit.
Right.
So if you add one person to a team, it's a new team.
Right.
And so I go with the fact that I know that what the coaches are capable of doing, the coaches are out there recruiting, and the conference is going to be tough. And of course, on the other side, you have your Prairie View, your Southern, in Grambling, and that's going to be tough. So it's a wonderful time to be in the SWAC. In more ways than one. I know everyone, it's football, and rightly so, but all these sports that is tough, and I'm just glad being here that all the sports at Jackson State, we're ready to accept the challenge because the coaches are working hard, they're recruiting hard, and we obviously from the spring you can see how many teams won.
Right.
Getting first, how many teams won, and so coming into this year, it's a great day to be a Tiger.
It definitely is a great day to be a Tiger, and I'm glad to officially be a Tiger now. So, Coach, I appreciate you for taking the time out of the day of your busy schedule to come and share the things with us. It's been a great time. JSU Volleyball will resume action at home September the 24th for the home opener against FAMU. It will be their first conference game of the season. Please come out and show your support to our ladies because they will need it as they look to go back to back for another SWAC championship. Once again, Coach, appreciate you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.